Alright, hello everyone and welcome to this week's developer stream. So we're going to be doing things a little bit differently today. As most of you guys know, we don't have our latest update out yet, and that's something that we'll be talking about in a few minutes. But today instead we wanted to focus on having a formal Q&A session so you guys can ask us any questions that you might have. But as you can see, I'm not alone here today. This is Ryan Jackson, who's the producer on our project. Say hello to Ryan.
Hello.
So before we get started, I have a few announcements just to go over first. As you can see here down in the corner, we have this beautiful Hydra costume. I don't really know what to call it. If you guys tuned into our last stream, we of course had Heartland Horrors with the Frosty Hydra. And we challenged people to take the Hydra and to Photoshop their own heads onto it. And so, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, but Akuma no Tsubasa, he submitted this, and it's fantastic. And so he is the winner of a key for himself and for a friend. So congratulations, Akuma. Thank you for submitting. Next up, speaking of Heartland Horrors, actually today we are opening voting for the next Heartland Horrors. So lots of you guys submitted. It was tough to narrow it down to 2, but we are choosing this week between the Stone Gorgon with the head of the Druid, petrified and turned to stone, and also glowing. It is very specific. Option number 2, and that was submitted by Kitty on the forums. Option number 2 is just every single one of our animas fused together, which I think would be pretty funny looking too, and that was by, again, I hope this is pronounced correctly, but Raytail on the forums. So thank you both for submitting. Voting is open on the forums, and as soon as this developer stream is over, we will also be opening that poll on Facebook as well. So make sure you hop in and let us know what you would like to see. We will be doing a special Heartland Horrors art stream this Friday. We'll get details out to you guys soon, where I'll just kind of sit there and talk about the process of how we make these things. It'll be kind of like a casual chat, Q&A art stream, just so we can have something else to look forward to. But without further ado, let's get into the Q&A. One of the things that, of course, everyone wants to know is, when can I get a key? That is the first thing that we can answer for you, is as soon as our build does go live, if you have registered before today at 9:30 a.m. Central Time, you're going to be getting a key. So everybody's getting in. That's going to be really exciting. And then, of course, if you have already registered for the game sometime likely tomorrow, we will be sending you a follow-up email, and that will have keys for you to give to your friends as well. So we're going to be flooding the Heartlands with a lot of new players, really pushing the servers to the limit, and we're definitely looking forward to getting all those new players in there. So if you guys just want to start sending some of your questions into the Twitch chat, Ryan and I will tackle those as best as we can. While you guys get typing, maybe Ryan can give us an update on kind of where the build is at right now, so you guys know what to expect.
Sure. So what we were finding the other day was that Ancestor Legacies were disappearing into the void after a character logged out. So, assuming you guys want to keep your Ancestor Legacies once you have them, we decided that was not a great build to push live. So, we have resolved that issue. The build is in QA now. If everything goes well, we should be able to deploy it sometime later this evening. But things might not go well, so appreciate your patience on this one.
Very good. Of course, this update is a big economy change, and accounts will be reset. So that includes house names. I know that is something that comes up a lot. Yes, your house name will also be reset. So if you're interested in reclaiming that, make sure you log in again as soon as this build goes live and snatch it up while you can. If you purchased anything, like Electrum, that will be refunded to your account, but if you got Electrum through trading, that will not be refunded. So purchases only, you'll find that back in your account. Mobile version, we will only be launching on PC, but we're always open to community interest in other platforms for the future. Crossplay, what do you think?
That depends on how everyone cooperates and plays nice in the pool. Consoles is a thought, and so we're paying attention to Sony and their walled garden and how little they're playing nice with everyone else. But yeah, crossplay is the more people we can get to play together, the better. It's always been kind of the goal.
Alright, are thorns going to be as powerful as tier 10 armor if you can max level them?
Nope. Thorn gear, essentially the way that works is the stat formula takes into account your character level. So the most powerful the Thorn gear is going to get is about tier 5. So as soon as you start moving into the islands, the tier 6 zone, you'll be getting gear that's better than Thorns. Thorns is entirely designed to be an easy way to sort of push through that leveling. So we want players to enjoy the world and experience that world, but it's a permadeath game. People are going to die, they're going to play it over and over again. So Thorns is one of those ways for our regular players to quickly move through that initial level, initial push to level 25.
How much progression can real money get you?
How much progression can real money get you? Well, it's kind of a tricky one to answer. The reason that's tricky is because of the exchange that we have, where players can transition. Players who have Bloodstone and they might want something you can only purchase with Electrum can put their Bloodstone up for Electrum, and people who have Electrum and want Bloodstone can put their Electrum up for auction. Because of that dynamic we have in there, it means that players can basically get everything in the game without putting any money into it, but at the same time, for those players who do put money into it, they can convert that into Bloodstone. But Bloodstone isn't it's not just an I win button. It can help give you, cover some gaps, get a crafting material that maybe you missed. But it's definitely not just you can't buy your way to the end, essentially. If you can't dodge bullets, you're not going to make it very far.
Any plans for Steam Workshop support? I know we have had some people on the forums too asking if I create an original asset, can that original asset be implemented directly into Survive By?
Sure. So we are talking a little bit about user-generated content and how that gets incorporated into the game. We would definitely like to incorporate some user-generated content, but specifically how we do that is still open for discussion. We've got some other internal priorities that we're more focused on than the UGC.
All right, Macs or Linux support?
Someday.
I sympathize. I have a Mac at home, so.
I mean, there's always we always want more platforms. As corporate as it sounds, outreach and user acquisition. PC, Mac, Linux, Switch, Xbox, Sony, mobile. We want it all. We don't have it all yet. We'll see where we get to, but we want it all.
This is sort of a cool idea. So Rhino Titan is asking if we would ever consider creating a companion app to let us craft items while we're away from the PC. I've never heard that one before. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, we've. I like the idea. I've seen some games do it. Sort of an option to, check your auctions, check your crafting when you don't have an ability to log into the game. It's definitely a really cool feature. It's definitely an expensive feature, so it's not really high on our list. But yeah, it'd be great if we could get it someday.
How about any new characters in development right now? I know we're always looking for ideas for new character classes or maybe subclasses, but is there anything in the works that we can talk about?
Well, so we are definitely looking at that in the near future. We're looking at options for expanding the number of classes you get to choose from. So probably in the relative near future, we'll have something up on the forums looking for some input, looking for some ideas. See if we can get you guys more involved in some of the creative elements here.
I see several questions just sort of talking about our plans for the end game, if we're going to be adding to it, if we're going to make it more difficult. What is our plan there?
Sure. So the general consensus internally is that we're not quite as difficult as we want to be. So we've got to push this month to sort of increase our bullet count, put a little more bullet hell into our game. We also want to make things a little more deliberate. Right now things are just kind of random groups of enemies, and we want to do a better job making meaningful encounters where those enemies complement each other. So that's coming online as well. The second side of that is making our in-game content a little more difficult. So the hard mode dungeons are going to get a bump in difficulty before the end of the month, and the volcano, the conduit of fire, is going to get a big bump in difficulty before the end of the month. As far as raid game beyond that, we have a plan out through tier 13. We don't have an ETA for that content, but we have 2 other raid dungeons that are in development, and we'd like to have various difficulties on the conduit of fire in these new dungeons when they go live. But that's still several months out at this point.
See, Isaac is asking when the Sin event is. Actually already happened. It was maybe 2-3 weeks ago, maybe longer than that. I don't know. Yeah. Time is a construct. But he might come back.
Definitely. So
yeah.
It would be a little silly of us to have a big event during closed beta and never bring it back. So Sin will be bigger and better, and we'll take all of the feedback we got, some of the good, some of the bad, the feedback about how the rewards didn't feel like they were worth the effort. Saw a lot of Sin kills that were a big glowing ball of white. It's hard to be threatened by something that melts that fast. So yeah, we learned a lot from that. We're going to make it bigger and better, and we will bring it back almost certainly before the end of the year. But don't quote me on that one.
Definitely. Capo time, yes, we can give you 1 key, please. So if you weren't here a little bit earlier, the build is delayed right now, but once it goes out, everyone who has registered before today at 9:30 a.m. is going to get a key sent to their inbox. So something that I see happening a lot is I'll have people message me and say, like, I believe that I got a key, but I can't find it. And typically, once they check their spam folders, they're able to find it. I'm not sure why. With certain email clients, it just goes straight to spam. But once the build is live, if you don't see it, check that spam folder, refresh a little, and then we'll post a thread probably sometime tomorrow, just checking where, hey, if you've registered and you haven't gotten a key yet, you can post here and we'll make sure that you get one. Kind of like we did back in June when we went, I believe it was when we lifted the NDA, we'd sent all those keys out. So we'll make sure that you guys get your keys. If you signed up in time, of course. Let's see. Will we launch any more events?
Yes, events are a big part of the plan moving forward. So we have 2 events in active development right now. Not really in a place to talk about them too much yet, but they'll be very different experiences from what we have right now. So I'm looking forward to them.
I'm excited too. That'll be very cool. Potentially adding an option to lower movement speed while you're holding down a key. So it'll definitely help when there's a lot more bullets. Any recommendations there?
Yeah, I haven't considered that one, to be honest. I'd say let's put it up on the Survive By forums under the suggestions section, and we'll log it out and see where it fits in the backlog. I don't think it hurts anything. That's another button. If players don't want it, they don't have to engage with it. So it's a matter of dev time, prioritizing it, that kind of stuff.
Just get one of those mics where you can change the speed and then just click it mid battle. That'll be easy, right? Let's see. Can we say anything else about the new economy? What kind of stuff did we adjust and what did we change? Yes. So it might actually be easier if you guys just want to check out, we've written a few blog posts about it. It's got more of an in-depth type of overview, and then if you guys have any more sort of specific questions, we can tackle those, but there were a lot of changes. So I can actually link that to you guys in this chat here. And then if you guys want to skim it, if you have any more questions about why we did something, how it works, there's a lot more specific examples in there. Let's see. Will everyone get a key today? That sort of depends on when that update ends up going live. Will there be some sort of gear that will be faster in water or mud but slower on regular ground so that we can get over the water areas faster?
I don't think we've got any plans for anything like that. That would be an odd switch to do. We did have gear at one point that did reduce that movement debuff. We might go in and tweak those values a little bit so it doesn't slow you down quite as much. I know there's a lot of issues with the tier 6 dungeon where the connecting sort of shallow water between the various rooms is really slowing people down and really making that dungeon not as fun as we intend it to be. So my first focus when it comes to the shallow water is that dungeon in particular. Once I find a solution that I like there, we'll see about expanding it out.
Cool. El Combo is asking if we have an ETA for that reset. Not yet. But if you haven't visited the forums before, you can always go to sort of that hotfix sub-forum and there'll be updates there. We also will make sure to tweet out that sort of information. So if you don't want to have to dig for it at all, of course you can follow us. It's just at PlaySurviveBy on Twitter, and we'll make sure to let you know as soon as things are up and running today or tomorrow, whenever it's ready. If you created your account a week ago, do you not get the game code now? Normally you would have to wait for a weekly key drawing, but this week is sort of special, so once that build does go live, we will send you one. It looks like if you signed up a week ago, you made it within that window. It was before today at 9:30 a.m. So yes, you will get a key as soon as those emails go out. Let's see. How fast do we estimate that you'll be gaining Bloodstone now, since that amount is going to get reduced slightly in the next update?
Sure. So the detail with Bloodstone is originally we had a rate of 45 Bloodstone per day. And that was when the challenge board was the only way to get Bloodstone. Then we started adding these quest chains, and those quest chains had Bloodstone rewards added to them. But this increased the Bloodstone income more than we had balanced for, essentially. So what I've done is I've gone back through all the rewards and made it so we go back down to 45 Bloodstone a day. And that's now split between the challenge board and the active quest chain on any given week.
Sounds good. Do we have a broad finished game view on how the game should look like? If so, what is it? What kind of stuff can we expect in game content expansion? I know we touched on some of the end game content before, but I don't know, is there anything visionary that we can speak to?
Visionary, no. What I can talk about is the structure of the game right now is that you're in what amounts to the trunk of a world tree. That's why we have that sort of round shape of the overworld and the tower that goes through the tree itself. The raid dungeons are intended to be part of the roots, and as we add more and more raid dungeons, we'll be exploring sort of the roots of the world tree. And then once we're done with that, the next layer of content will actually go up into the branches of the world tree. And hopefully as we pursue these different areas within the environment, we'll start to learn more and more about who are the power players in here. Where did the Fury come from? Where did the Chimera come from? We've got a lot of that laid out, and as the content grows and expands, I hope to reveal more and more of that as we go.
Joker J, thank you. It's a very sweet comment. Really appreciate it. We always try and keep you guys as updated as possible. So you can also join us in our Discord if you haven't already. There's a link to it also on those forums. And we usually communicate a lot in there as well. Rhino Titan is asking if we've considered adding hard mode characters that won't regenerate HP, so that you have to use potions for health regen. Very brutal, but maybe at the expense of some increased valor.
Right. Not anything we've considered. Every time we try to do something like that, have a hard mode challenge, it's at least bit us a couple of times. So some of you might remember the Ancestral Legacies that gave you bonuses if you were wearing no gear. That didn't work how we wanted it to. It didn't make a hard mode, it made an easy mode. So removing health regen and requiring potion usage or some other option for recovering health, not off the table, but it's a little bit of a lateral step. So it would probably be a low priority if we moved forward with it.
Ultimatum Durson is asking, where can you get health potions? Which dungeons?
Sure. So health potions should be dropped by all bosses now at a pretty decent rate. They should be dropped by the revised dangerous chests that will go live with the new build. And we're working on, I'm not sure if it's going to go live on this build or if it'll be the next one, an option to get a health potion and an energy potion for free every day. So the treasure hunter will have a steady supply of potions for players who visit her every day.
That's exciting. I know one of you guys in the chat had asked a little bit higher up if we would be giving away anything for free each day, and so yes, health and energy potions. Will our new dungeon chests drop gear? My understanding is that no, they will not, right? The hard mode chests?
The dangerous chests?
Or the dangerous chests, sorry.
So the dangerous chests are going to go live dropping catalysts. So they'll be sort of just a step below the boss of that dungeon. We are evaluating whether we want gear in those or not. I'm kind of on the fence on that one, so we'll see how that works out, and if you guys have strong feelings about gear in those dangerous chests, let us know in the forums.
That would be cool, but for now, if they want to get gear drops, they can get that from...
Gear drops from bosses?
Yes.
Otherwise, it's a crafting option.
Are the... Bud? That might be a typo. Are the altars inspired by Diablo?
Short answer, yes. Long answer, we're inspired by a whole lot of different games. Diablo is definitely one of them that some of the other people on the team are sick of me talking about.
I like Diablo. It's okay, Ryan. You can talk about Diablo.
But yeah, that idea of something random in the dungeon that provides a dynamic element that might embolden you, might change how you approach the fights in that dungeon. Yeah, definitely. Diablo was definitely an inspiration for this game.
What about adding guilds and clans so that people can play together more?
That's on the list as well. We have a very extensive backlog, if that wasn't particularly obvious. We want people to play together. We want our users per server count to be as high as we can get it. And guilds is just the next sort of logical step for us. So it's on the radar. It's something we want to do, but it's waiting for its turn, essentially.
What kind of changes did we make to the WoW, the amount of valor that is awarded per the wraiths there? Anything?
The valor award per wraith was, I believe, increased a little bit. It follows a slightly different formula from what it did before, and we had some bugs with the well for a long time. For instance, some of you would go into the well and see that they had the little white flag over their heads. That's because they were quite a bit lower level than you, and they weren't escalating in level quickly enough to be much of a challenge. So there's been a fairly recent overhaul to them, so that they start at level 25 now, and the rewards are related to how many waves you essentially are able to get through.
Vertiger is asking how he can play dungeons solo. You can just go in there alone. I mean, there are people who I've spoken with who have been able to beat even our raid dungeons solo, and those are definitely balanced to be a lot more difficult. So technically you can play it by yourself. Just maybe, I don't know, level yourself, your gear maybe a little higher than you would otherwise before you go into the dungeon. I know I'm not very talented. So before I go in and fight the Hydra, I'll get like over leveled gear, and then I'll go in and fight the Hydra. So that stuff helps, of course. Once you get to end game and you've got the best stuff you can get at that point, you'll just have to rely on your skill. But I believe in you. Will it be possible to trade health and energy potions?
No, the way they're sort of built into the game is we pull them out of the inventory system so they wouldn't take up bag space. And so they could be they're used just a little bit differently from other items. So at this point we don't have any plans to trade them or allow you to sell them off.
What about PvP? I know that's something that comes up a lot as like a dream feature.
PvP is a dream feature. It is part of our extensive backlog. It's very, very tricky to do with how we've built this game. So our focus has been PvE. We want players playing together against bigger and nastier monsters. So PvP it's one of those things where it's easy to sort of envision it. Getting a little bit of a 3 or 4 people in a room and who's the last man standing kind of thing, deathmatch kind of stuff. But it's much more difficult to actually implement, to balance. We have to make sure that every special ability lines up, that every class is appropriate, and a lot of MMOs have almost an entirely different balance system for their PvP, and the special abilities work differently, the stats provide different bonuses. So that's a really big sort of bite we'd have to take to do that. And so it's pretty much sitting near the bottom of the backlog. Guilds, parties, pets, that kind of stuff is all going to come online before PvP.
So Tito is asking if we'll add endless dungeons with endless enemies. For now, you could go into the well. That's sort of you go in, you're going to die, but the wraiths just keep coming, so you keep fighting them, and then of course it's a good way to earn valor. But do we have any plans for a dungeon style equivalent?
The tricky part there is the performance cost of an endless dungeon. So I've seen a couple of comments in the stream regarding when the game's going to play better. So one of the things we found recently was that people are going into Volcano, into the Conduit of Fire, and we're getting almost 1,000 enemies in a given instance of the Conduit of Fire, and that's hurting everyone. That those enemies are there, that they're thinking, they're taking up processor, they're taking up bandwidth. So it's also been a problem when the well wasn't working right and people would go down there and farm wraiths for 10-15 minutes. Every one of those wraiths, all of those bullets, that's all a strain on the server. So we have to be really careful about our endless content and making sure it doesn't become a drag on everyone.
What about pets? I know that's something I'm excited about because that just sounds cute. Are we going to add pets?
Are we going to add pets? Yes. What those pets are, we're working on it.
Pet hot dogs.
No.
Pet hot dogs. Pet hot dogs.
No, don't. And none of you encourage her. That's not. Don't. No. Hot dogs. We already have hot dogs. We're done with hot dogs. Yeah. So pets are a pretty natural extension. We'd like to go there. I don't know. We don't have an ETA for it yet. but it's an option that gives us a lot of flexibility in some of the things we can do with giving players more options and more tactical choices in the game.
Yeah, I know one of the biggest concerns with implementing pets that the community has had is just making sure that if someone has a pet, it's not going to make a really unfair power balance with them compared to everyone else, that they won't be overpowered because they have a pet.
Yeah, that's definitely not the model we're looking at for pets. We are, at least where my head is at now, is when pets are introduced, pets are a thing that everyone can have.
Right.
There will be a variety of pets. Some will be better than others, and they may have levels, and they may not. Again, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. But that basic foundational idea that if there are pets in the game, everyone has relatively easy access to pets is important to me at this point.
Cute pets for all. Hot dogs for everyone. So Lemon Ninjas is talking about like pickup range being increased by pets. I know that that's also something that has been thrown around a lot. So just sort of like making them more convenient, or allowing you to be more convenient because you have these pets. Let's see. Oh, will there ever be a time when we'll be able to equip like a footprint and wings at the same time? So equipping multiple attachments.
Right. Yes. We are planning to expand the attachment system to allow for 3 different attachments to be equipped at the same time. One will be feet or below the feet, one will be behind the back, and one will be over the head. So we don't have any over the head ones yet, those are coming. And things like the carrot on a stick and the wings, those would both be back slot items.
Let's see, how can you level up tier 6 or higher items?
Right, so that's a my bad kind of thing. So we had a feature that went in last week where we added what we're calling, we're referring to it internally as a weapon oil. I'm blanking on the name it has in game. But the basic idea is that if the gear that can be leveled, you need to unlock it essentially. So you have to apply this oil to the gear, and then for the duration of the buff, that gear will then gain experience. We had a bug that will be fixed once this build goes live where it wasn't working on weapons, but that was a bug.
Yes, tempering oil. Tempering oil. Yes.
That sounds like something I would write. Yes.
Yes. All right. Have keys been given out yet? No. So if you haven't gotten one yet today, don't worry. I know that normally they would have already been sent out, but everything is a bit delayed today. Have we considered adding more NPC quests that aren't necessarily for Bloodstone?
So we have, right now, the quest chains that we're cycling through all sort of serve the same purpose. So the quest chain in the tier 7 area, the quest chain in the tier 6 area, and the quest chain in the tier 3 area are sort of content that we're cycling through. Expanding those quests to be non-Bloodstone, it's definitely an option. We've talked about some other games will do things like dynamic events or open world events where you're sort of just moving through the world and something's happening around you that you can either choose to engage with or not. That's been a consideration. We've talked about putting more quest givers just sort of out in the world, putting challenge boards out in the world, so the challenge boards are more appropriate to the zone you find them in. Lots of options for us to expand on the quest system and give you guys more things to be doing in game.
Yeah, I'm seeing that there might be a little bit of echoing on the mic. So we're in, if you've been to our previous streams, we're in a new space. It's definitely a lot smaller than the office that I normally would be in. So it looks like the mic itself is fine, but the space is pretty small and we are in the middle of renovating. So this wall back here will be probably like a dark gray. We'll have some pretty shelves up there, some posters. It'll be looking good. But that also means we're going to be doing some soundproofing for the room as well. So right now what you're hearing is probably just like a very natural echo, but I will keep poking around in the settings. Let's see, how many classes will there be in the full game?
It's
kind of expanding outward infinitely. So even once we do launch on Steam, we aren't going to stop supporting the game or updating the game, which is important. I know there's been some nervous community members who are like, oh, if something doesn't get in now, it's now or never. That won't be the case, just because we'll keep making these changes. So even if you do find out that we've launched and oh my gosh, it's out there, that's not the end of when we want suggestions and new ideas, because it's always going to keep building out.
Yeah, well, we'll have as many classes as it's awesome to have.
Yes. Definitely. When will that patch be live? Once again, that's something that we don't have an ETA on quite yet. Are there going to be any super rare drops that'll force you to farm bosses or mobs a ton to get them?
The only super rare... So we have 2 super rare drops right now. The first one is the Thorn gear that has a really rare chance to drop from a boss. And the second is it's an item that allows you to add a socket to an existing piece of equipment that you might have. That's also an exceptionally rare drop. Neither of them are necessarily required to advance. They're just sort of out there as nice options if you happen to come across one of them.
Will the game always be free, or are we going to bump up that price after we release?
We will always be free to play.
Good news. Oh, interesting. I might have found the audio problem. I'll just keep poking while you guys... Oh, that fixed it? I didn't even do anything. I just scrolled down in OBS. See, that was magic. The magic touch. Excellent. All right. So we did want to try and keep the stream a little bit shorter today. But that being said, we're already almost 10 minutes over. So why not? If you guys have a few more last minute questions, please send them our way while we have resident expert Ryan Jackson here. Otherwise, I'll have a few finishing announcements to make, and we will send you on your merry way. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, plans to implement any kind of leaderboards or anything like that, especially with the well. I know that's something people have really been interested in.
Yeah, leaderboards are something we've considered in a couple of different cases. The well is definitely one of them that jumps to mind. How many wraiths can you kill? But leading back to a previous answer I had about performance being a problem if there's a lot of creatures, we would be encouraging players to make the game worse for other people by having that leaderboard right now. So if we were to put a leaderboard in for the well, we'd need to make sure the well was not having any negative impact on performance for anyone. So that's sort of the blocker right now for that particular idea. But there's any number of different leaderboard options we've looked at. The Zenith event stuff, the influence of the signs, is a quasi leaderboard, sort of a not quite. That's probably abusing the term a little bit too much, but
it's a leaderboard.
But yeah, that's something we keep in mind, and especially with some of the event design that's going on, ways that we can sort of let an event go for a week, and then at the end of the week, did you save 10 villagers? Did you save 100 villagers? Did you save 1,000 villagers? And particularly giving either a ranking or a reward based upon those results.
Right. These are some fun and easy questions. Can I do a backflip? Absolutely not. How's the weather here? Warm. Will there be a legacy stat cap and thus some sort of endgame gear?
A legacy stat cap and thus some sort of endgame gear. So there are some stat caps right now. I'm not particularly thrilled that we're getting to those caps this early. So there's a lot of under the hood tweaking that needs to be done to make sure that people don't feel like they're getting railroaded by the system. And finding a way to make that end game gear work and be meaningful and be more than just a couple more numbers is always something we're looking to do. Just have to find the right mix there to make that happen.
Will we be adding new prefixes or suffixes in the game?
Absolutely. We recently introduced the prefixes onto non-weapons. That seems to be going well. So we're going to expand that out. We've got 3 now. I think we've got another 9 or 10 on paper. So it's just a matter of finding where we plug those in.
All right, it looks like let's go for about 5 more minutes. So if you have anything last minute, this is the time. Lemon Ninjas is saying it might be nice to add some rare skins as a boss drop, so we have incentive to keep going back after T10 gear. How do you feel about like a skin as a boss drop?
It's a different approach to skins than we're doing right now. That's not to say we won't go there. Part of what early access means to us is that if something's broken, no matter how big or important or critical it is to the game, if it's not working, it's not working, and we fix it. So, right now we're working off the idea that skins are an Electrum purchase. But if in 3 months we find that that's just not the way this game is going to work, we'll change it.
Right. Do we have any plans to add prefix imprints as boss drops?
Possibly. I know at the very least the prefixes need, or the imprints need a little bit of attention from me for like write-ups and descriptions on them. They're not super clear right now. So putting them onto boss drops is certainly an option. They might be a good option for dangerous chests, and they might be a good option for quest rewards. So right now, I believe the only way to obtain them is to dismantle an item. So there's definitely some room there to grow and make these a little more accessible.
Cool. When will that wipe be? The wipe will correspond with when the update goes live later today. Any plans for leagues? So like a limited time competition to reach a certain level or valor goal from a fresh start. Well, you'll get a fresh start after the account reset.
So we don't have anything on the plate for that. We have a couple of different ways we could explore that idea. We could do that in a weekly event that uses an independent leveling option from the rest of the game, or set aside a short-term server where the only goal is to run a character up through that content on a time limit.
How about adding an additional board, I assume in the tower, with quests for valor that you can earn?
So right now our valor rewards are predominantly from the challenges, the gear, and the wraith kills, and your level. Right now we don't have any plans to expand that. So the quest for valor in general, we may have more challenges that provide valor rewards, and it's on my list to sort of rework that bounty board in general to try to make it more of a one-stop shop, and to potentially have alternate versions that are out in the Heartland that may give different quests that are appropriate for the zone. But I don't think valor in particular is going to get another income source anytime soon.
All right, let's end with this question from Dry Ice, who's asking, when can we expect to see new legacies, and can we give them a sneak peek of any of what we have in mind?
Sure. So we have plans for another legacy drop in September. That should give us plenty of time to sort of roll out some of the initial ideas on the forum, see what you guys think, what you like, what you don't like, if there's any blind spots we might have missed that you guys notice. So there should be an opportunity to weigh in on the next wave of legacies.
So go over to the forums. That would be a good thread for me to start. So actually, as soon as we're done with this stream, I will go over and I will start a general discussion thread, and you guys can let us know what some of your favorite legacies are. All right. So thank you all for tuning in. I think this has been a very productive Q&A. Thank you, Ryan, for answering everyone's questions, including mine. Now I know I can't have my dream hot dog pet, so it's fine. But yes. Everyone else, please go onto the forums and vote for your preferred Heartland horror. Of course, once again, those options are the Gorgon with the head of the druid, some glowing, sort of a petrified stone look, or all of the animas smushed into one. And don't forget to tune in on Friday. We will give you the details about that. We will be doing an art stream, sort of a casual hangout stream. You guys can see how I put together those Heartland horrors, and I can try and answer a few more questions if you guys have any once everything goes live. So in the meantime, once again, thank you for joining us. I look forward to this update going live, and all of you guys can look forward to getting those keys in your inbox. So we'll see you in the Heartlands. Bye.